In this episode, Van Oaks, who is the CMO of a couple of companies that form an 8-figure conglomerate, including Diesel Gear Brothers, Diesel Sellers, and also has a show on the Discovery Channel. He talks about how he scaled the company from when he came on board from 7 figures to multiple 8 figures in revenue, and how all of this, in conjunction with Facebook, omni-channel marketing, Snapchat strategies, fuels a massive monthly $100,000 truck giveaway, which then in turn also fuels their marketing and their CPAs. So guys, this one's a goodie. Enjoy the show. All right, Van, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Excellent, man. So why don't you tell everyone kind of what you're working on at the moment and the story of everything that happened up until this point where you are now?
You want the story up until and then what we're working on now?
Yep, that's it. Perfect. Yeah.
Man, so I used to do door-to-door sales. I think I explained this to you. I did door-to-door sales for 12 years, and loved every bit of it. It was fantastic. I love sales. I just love it. I love the challenge of selling somebody something. And I did that forever, and I probably wouldn't have changed other than like I got married, had kids, and I was gone too much, and I wanted to be home more often. So I decided that I was going to learn to sell stuff online, right? So I had a brother-in-law at the time that had that worked for an affiliate marketing network. So I asked him, what he did, and he's just like, you can come check it out. So I went and worked for an affiliate network for probably a month, and just saw kind of what was going on. And then really quick after, I made my own, I became an advertiser, made my own product, and I started selling it myself online. And because I could be home with the kids, I could work from home, I could sell my products from home. It worked out great. So I did that for about a year and a half. I was buying traffic, and then I figured, I should learn to run traffic myself. So I started to learn to run Facebook and do all that. And then it was then that I grew up with some guys who had launched a store, but they didn't know, they had big social media followings, but they didn't know how to run traffic, run any Facebook or anything. So they hit me up and they're like, hey, we got this store, we got a big social media following, but we don't really know how to do Facebook traffic. Can you run traffic? And I was like, yeah, I think I can. So they had me come up in 2013 and it was 2016. They started in 2013. 2016, I started running traffic for them. And yeah, they went from $6 million a year to me doing $13 million in 1 year, just from the media buying. And then it's all just been kind of downhill since then. Started doing the media buying there, TV show, the other brands have launched from there, to where now there's probably 6 different brands underneath this one umbrella.
Wow.
I'm the CMO now. I kind of run all the marketing along with the product development. So I've got a lot going on over here, but like I was telling you earlier, that's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. So what are you guys selling? Do you want to tell people about the brand?
It's really just an e-commerce store. It's an apparel store, and we're in a niche demographic for truck dudes that like trucks, right? It's diesel. The store is called dieselpowergear.com, but it's basically niche apparel for dudes that like big diesel trucks. So we just sell, it's just apparel. It sounds stupid, but dude, until you meet some of these dudes in the States that have diesel trucks, and their trucks cost $100,000 and they don't even have a home. So it's the most expensive thing they own, and they live and die by this truck. It's their brand, it's their identity. And you start making apparel for them. And then what we did was, it's a giveaway model. So the business is set up like every $5 you spend on our stuff, be it a shirt, a hat, whatever, get you entered to win a diesel truck. And we give away $100,000 diesel truck every single month. So there's a lot that goes into it, but people are buying apparel, $35 shirts. And when they do, they're getting chances to win possibly $100,000 truck, and we give one away every month.
Wow. That sounds like something pretty big target people can aspire to at home, I reckon, like listening to going from, where the brand was.
Just so that you guys understand though, like especially dudes that are just beginning, The very first time that they did this, he just gave away his own personal truck. He had a big following, and he's like, people love my truck on social media. He's like, I bet if I told people I would give them the truck, and they sold wristbands the first time that cost them a cent or two to make the wristband, and they sold the wristbands for $5 a pop. And it blew up. They did over $400,000 in sales off the wristbands in the very first giveaway. And then after that, people were reaching out like, you guys should make t-shirts. You guys should make hats. I would wear your hats. So then now fast forward till today, and we have like 1,500 SKUs of, we'll sell anything, right?
Damn, dude. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So what happened? Because you mentioned that like when you first came on board, they were doing about 6 mil a year in sales, and then you took them to 13 just in the first year alone. What changed to actually double the sales in just 12 months? Because that's a crazy result. Facebook. And what'd you do?
Media buying. Literally, like people are like, you did something crazy and unheard of, and I was like, not necessarily. When you understand that I stepped into a company where these guys have literally, at the time that I started, they had like 750,000 followers. Now they have like 3 million, right? But when I started, it was like 750,000 followers, and they didn't understand at the time that all of their people weren't seeing their stuff. They thought, if they were posting, everybody was seeing it. And I was trying to explain, like, you have to buy media on Facebook. You have to pay Facebook if you want everybody to see this stuff. I know you think everybody is, and a lot of them are, but at the end of the day, it's getting like every year it's got worse and worse as far as like organic reach. So it was mainly just the very first year that took that big, massive jump was just Facebook. Now fast forward till today, when we have, Facebook, Snapchat, SMS, email, we're doing all of the things. But initially, what initially did that, made us double was the Facebook.
I see. And so talking about Snapchat, because you brought that up, you're like a massive Snapchat dude in the space. A lot of people look to you for Snapchat advice and guidance and stuff like that. Tell us about what you're doing with Snapchat and
Yeah. I think we do a ton of Facebook. Like, I don't want to get the wrong idea out that Facebook still isn't the behemoth that it is, and you still have to do Facebook, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
It has the biggest reach of all these platforms, but what I saw was that everybody was a professional at Facebook, and everybody was getting into Facebook, and it was getting more and more expensive. Like 3 years in a row, it got more and more expensive. Like literally, I just watched this, like my CPM's climbing. I'm just like, I don't want to be dependent upon Facebook to make a living, right? I would rather have owned audiences, A, but then B, at the time I tried Snapchat years ago and it really wasn't great. And then they reached back out and said, hey, we got a new pixel placed. You should check it out. So then I went in there, not this Black Friday that just happened, but the one before. So 2 years ago, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we went in there and we crushed on Snapchat. And after that, it's all just been kind of downhill to where finally, like as of 2020, the reach is getting there now. Like we always struggled with deliverability on Snapchat compared to Facebook, as to where now it seems like Snapchat's doing a lot better at being able to spend all the budget. So I get a better return on ad spend from Snapchat than I do from Facebook. Obviously, scalability is not quite there, so Facebook's still the big player. But I want to diversify as much as possible, right? I don't want to have all my eggs in Facebook's basket. I'd rather have Snapchat and text and email and all of these different places. We have ambassadors now. We have all these different places that sales are coming from, so that we're not so – dude, there's nothing worse than Facebook going down on a day or your ad account getting disabled or whatever. Any little thing, and it could just it blows my mind that some companies that will put your company out of business. So they rely so heavily on Facebook that if it goes away, what happens to your business?
And companies do go out of business. It happens all the time, like with the whole Facebook deal, especially in like certain health and beauty and fitness and stuff like that.
They get wiped out
overnight. It's getting harder and harder. It's getting harder and harder keeping accounts. And all I hear is people complain. Now we do everything super white hat. Everything's, even though we do giveaways, it's all legal because we register them in every state and so forth. We do all the red tape to make sure it's legal. but either way, yeah, it breaks my heart to see some of these people just like, oh, I lost my company because my ad account was disabled or whatever. And it's like, well, why aren't you doing these other things? Why aren't you doing text? Why aren't you doing email? Why aren't you doing Snapchat, TikTok, whatever?
Are you guys doing TikTok?
Just, dude, in the States, it's a different beast. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to get approved as a company in the States. There's agencies that are approved here. I just got approved last week as a company, not as an agency. So our company's finally approved. And I just went through the hassle last week of putting the pixel on the page and everything and verifying that it's good. I still have yet to run an ad because I was making content specific, obviously, for TikTok. So hopefully next week we'll launch our first campaign on TikTok.
Yeah, cool. Let me know how that goes. I think TikTok is kind of where, you know how you mentioned Facebook a couple of years ago, you tried and it just didn't go well, because we tried as well, and there was like really cheap clicks. The traffic was like super cheap, but it just wasn't converting. And it's kind of at the same stage now, where everyone's talking about TikTok in the same way that they were talking about Snapchat like 3 or 4 years ago, raving about it, but no one's actually making money yet. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see the next few months and how they roll out.
I think it'll take some time, just like it did with Snapchat, to where it'll take some time for them to figure out who to serve ads to, who's actually buying, not just show it to anybody. But Snapchat's finally to that point where, we see a good return on pretty much everything that we want. And we're finally at a higher scale than we were before. We're spending a decent amount. So So
getting a bit more technical with Snapchat, I mean, what can people that are looking to get into Snapchat and add it as a channel for their e-com brands, what can they expect in terms of metrics, scalability? What cost per click should they be aiming for? Give us a rough lowdown.
First things first is that if you're not willing to throw in like $1,500 at seasoning your pixel and running traffic first, don't even try. Really, I've seen brands. The thing with Facebook is you can hop in with $20 ad sets and be fine. Snapchat A has $50 ad sets, but then B, you have to unlock each event. So you can't just automatically optimize for purchases, right? You have to start by optimizing for swipe ups. And then after you get 100 swipe ups, then you can optimize for page views. And then after 100 page views, you can optimize for add to carts. And then eventually, you'll get 100 purchases. And then you can start optimizing for purchases. And that's when Snapchat really takes off and is good. But it takes like $1,500. So if you're not willing to sock a little bit of money and effort into it, probably not the right channel just to test stuff when. I would stick with Facebook on that. But once you do that, I only run traffic in the US. So I don't know CPMs in other places, but like if you're running traffic in the US, like I see when I started, I was seeing $CPMs, $1.50 CPMs, as to where now I was looking like last week at scale when when I say scale, we were spending like 40, 50 grand a day. We were seeing $2.50 CPMs. So it's
just
still
on Snap.
Holy it's still
shit,
significantly cheaper than Facebook for us. But we can't spend the $100,000 a day like we can on Facebook. The most that I got up to was 40, 50 grand. And on an average day, I probably only spend 15 to 20 grand on Snapchat.
Yep. And what kind of CPAs do you see in comparison with Facebook?
So it is cheaper. So I do apparel. So in the US, you got to understand, it's so, I don't know. We run the giveaway model, right? So it's a little bit incentivized. It's not it's a little bit different, but we see like purchases for $10 to $12 on Snapchat. And our average order value sits at about $55. So for us, we'll run it all day. I won't stop until probably prospecting at $25 or so, but on average, probably sit at about $12 a purchase on Snapchat.
All right, dude, let's take a quick pause for the out of the spotlight segment. Quick question. What are your favorite podcasts, YouTube channels, or people whose content you consume? It doesn't have to be someone super famous and well known like Tim Ferriss. It can be even just like the little guy that hides in the forums.
See, the honest truth is that the only podcast that I do is not educational whatsoever. It's called The Fighter and the Kid, and it's literally just comedians, and it's has nothing to do with business, and it's a waste of my time, but it's like my decompression time as I listen to that. But I listen to a lot of books, a lot of audiobooks, because I drive into work most times. I probably spend an hour and a half driving a day. So I definitely do a lot of audiobooks more than I do podcasts or anything like that.
Yeah. Any good books that people should listen to or read?
I don't know. The ones that my favorite book that I read last year was probably Stealing Fire. I really, really enjoyed Stealing Fire. I don't know if you've read that.
No.
It's fantastic.
What is it? A business book or?
It's more self-help business. Like it's basically what the military and what a lot of people do to get in the zone. Military,
Oh.
Navy SEALs, high-level CEOs, what they do to get in the zone. Anyways, that book was rad. I don't know. I read a ton of book. There's one called Why We Sleep that I got really into, that I started to get into a lot of biohacking last year because of reading it and the importance of sleep. So I read a lot of personal self-help type books
That's cool.
as opposed to business.
Yeah. What are you doing? Are you still doing the whole biohacking thing? You still very into that?
Yeah, I still do a decent amount. I mean, if you want to get into all that, you can, but I still do a decent amount of like, and it's mainly just, it's a lot more sleep based and a lot more, I'm super into fitness, right? So I wake up every single morning at 5 a.m. and I go to the gym and I spend 2 hours in the gym, and then I do sauna, and then I do the Wim Hof method of ice baths, and then I come home and get my kids out to school, and then I study and meditate on the way into work, get home. I mean, there's just a lot of little things that I do, but I think the biggest change that I've made in the last year is the amount of sleep that I get. Right. I used to be the king of like, fucking sleep when you die, bro. Like you can sleep whenever. You only need 5 hours of sleep. And I realized how bad it is for you. And that you actually need your sleep. So I've kind of changed my whole schedule around being able to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night and still be able to do those things, go to the gym and do the ice baths and still do all the meditations and all that stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. So how do you kind of juggle everything then? Because you have, is it 3 or 4 kids that are all like, they're still tiny, and they're still tiny, dude. They're like little munchkins just running around everywhere. Yeah. How do you manage everything plus budgets of 50, 100K a day on media? And I mean, that stuff has to get watched, you know? You're not going to be sleeping on that. Yeah.
Number one, most important, obviously, is hire people. Get the correct people in place, right? Yeah. Because originally when I started all this, I was doing everything. I was doing all the media buying. I was filming a lot of the content on my phone and then having an agency cut it up, but I was directing it all and doing everything. And I think within the last year and a half, I got a really good media buyer put in place who I trained personally, who does things kind of the way that I'm used to. And then I got a photographer and I got a videographer and I got a designer and I got all these people in place to where now I just kind of oversee a lot of that instead of having to actually be in the ad account all day cutting and, you know, putting in rules and changing everything. I just kind of oversee a lot of that. So that helped a lot with getting the correct person in place, helped more than anything. And then as far as family, I had a lot of people ask, like, how do you juggle like work and family, right? Because when you do online marketing like we do, online marketing like we do, what happens is that your work becomes home and your home becomes work. And you never get a chance to separate your home from the marketplace. A lot of the reason that I come into work is so that I can separate, because I can work from home, but it's easier for me to separate home from the marketplace so that I know when I come to work, and my wife and my kids are fantastic. They understand dad's at work. Don't bother him unless it's an emergency. And I'll work and I'll be in the zone all day at work. But then I also know that when I leave work and when I get home, I put my phone up for at least 2 hours. Like right when I walk in, I put my phone up for 2 hours and I have dinner with the family and then get the family down to sleep, spend quality time with the kids. And then after they go to bed, I can pick up my phone and maybe check the ads and check everything that way. But I think that's the biggest change that I made as far as family life was dedicating a solid 2 hours to not having my freaking phone on me and just putting it on the charger and just giving, quality time to the kids.
And that's hard, dude. Like anyone can say, "Oh, I'm going to spend some time with the family or whatever," but when you like actually switch off and are present, that's, I don't know. It's something that
24/7. You're never not making money or losing money, right?
Yeah.
Very hard. It's very hard to do that. And if you get the right people in place and you trust the correct people, which is where I'm at now, I really trust my media buyer. I trust everything there. I'm good. I know I have a little bit of peace of mind to put the phone up at least for 2 hours and spend that with the kids.
Yeah. That's cool, dude. That's cool. So anyone that's kind of in sort of that 7-figure realm, probably a little bit earlier than the 6 mil revenue that you came into, say 2-3 mil, what would you tell them to do so that they can go from being a 7-figure brand to an 8-figure brand? What are the core fundamentals in your opinion? And it doesn't have to be marketing. I mean, by the sounds of it, and for you guys, it's bringing on cool people. Yeah.
With fulfillment and like our customer appreciation and the actual overall experience with our brand, because when we were doing 6 million or whatever, we were having a hard time getting all those orders shipped out, right? So even if I would have marketed to to the moon and we didn't put any standard order procedures into place as far as fulfillment, it would have been a horrible customer experience, right? When they're waiting a month to get their order, as opposed to we went the opposite route where we made it a very like an awesome customer experience to where they're getting their order within a week or so. And that way that allowed us to scale to those 8 figures compared to when before even if we wanted to scale to 8 figures, we couldn't have done that. Right. So we started there. We started with our customers first and made sure that they were having a good experience and that because our repeat customer rate's high. Like we get a 55% repeat customer rate, like across the board, because people have bought something from us, but then guess what? Next month's a new giveaway and a new truck and a new chance to win a different vehicle. So they're buying stuff again and again and again, as to where like our lifetime value for a customer is like $180. It's really, really large.
And you're getting them, and when your CPA is like $15. Yeah, and you're paying $15 to bring them on board. That's insane, dude. That's crazy. Excellent. All right, so time for show and tell. What's the best purchase you've made under $100? It can be a piece of tech, digital product, anything you can think of.
Dude, I bought Heelys. Did you see my Heely video?
I did see. For anyone that's listening, you got to
$60 on Amazon, man. The dopest $60 purchase you've ever seen.
Dude, you are the funniest guy as well. Everyone has to go and follow Van on Instagram because his content is hilarious. No, those little hands, the little hands, and you're like licking with the corn chips.
$15 on Amazon.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious, man.
But not like as far as, I don't know, under $100. That one's a tough one for me. I think the Oura Ring was a big one for me. It's more expensive. It's $300, but it allowed me to track my REM cycles in between, because that's kind of how you retain what you learn during the day depends upon how many REM cycles you have at night at retaining everything that you picked up during the day. And then if you're getting shitty sleep, you're not retaining anything that you're learning. So that was one of the things that I did. And then, man, of all time, I think the most important purchase that I ever made was my first Shopify store back in the day. I still remember sitting there and being like, my 7-day trial is up. Like, I don't want to pay this $40. Like, I really do not want to pay this $40. My 7-day trial is up. I made zero money off my shit that I was selling. I was unsuccessful, and I was just like, I don't want to do that. And I forced myself to pay the $40 so that I would keep my store, and I learned how to run traffic that way. And in essence, it landed me a spot here, and now I've been able to kind of branch out everywhere else. But I still have that feeling. I can still remember that feeling of not wanting to spend that $40 fucking on a Shopify store because I was unsuccessful at making it work.
Yeah, it's kind of like the feeling when you do get that first sale. You know, you hear the cha-ching go off on your phone, and it's like, dude, it's like a hit, like a drug hit. It's like serotonin or some endorphins or something. It's
When we
crazy.
started our tire brand, we started a direct-to-consumer tire company, and the difference, everything that I'd done up until that point, our average order value is like $50, right? So like those cha-chings mean something, but with these tire brands, these tires are like $2,000, right? It's like high-level
Right.
e-com, a high-ticket e-com.
Yeah.
And I remember that, like, after we finally got it all set up, I remember like specifically making sure that cha-ching noise was on because I wanted to hear those ones because those are the big ticket cha-chings. And I turned off all the other cha-chings, but those ones I left on just because they were, you know, $2,500 orders.
Wow. So how do they go, dude? Are you marketing to cold traffic with that? And what's your strategy there? Or is it mostly warm traffic? Because that's a high ticket.
With the tire company?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of cold traffic.
Wow. Okay.
Because we made a tire that is specific to diesel trucks. Basically, it's got a harder rubber compound. Diesel trucks are really heavy, and they burn your tires out really quick. So we made a tire. We found that people were going through tires, you know, every 4 months on their trucks. So we wanted to make a tire that was heavier rubber compound so that you could buy tires once a year instead of every 4 months. And we do a lot of prospecting with those just because of the selling proposition of having a diesel truck tire that's harder rubber compound. And I've got some pretty big ambassadors on board and influencers on board. So we use them a lot. But yeah, we prospect probably more than we do warm traffic with the diesel tires.
Wow. So what's the strategy there? Is it very different to selling, you know, a $50 ticket product or?
It is different,
Yeah.
right? You got to understand that the touch point's it's gonna take a lot more touch point as to where like a 7-day purchase window with my e-com stuff, with my t-shirt stuff is fine because most of the people that buy our apparel, they make that decision immediately. Like they see it and they say, "Oh, I like that. I can afford $30 or $50. I'm gonna buy it now." As to where like if you get hit with a tire ad and it's like, "Oh, I do need tires. Oh, but these are expensive because they're decent. Oh, do I have $2,500? I don't know." So it's a lot of like a bigger funnel for sure, and a lot more touch points and a lot more expensive to acquire customers. We're acquiring customers for, like I said, on Facebook, probably 15 bucks, as to where tires, they cost us close to $80 to acquire.
$80 for a 2.5K sale.
Yeah, but margins aren't there. You got to understand.
Right. Yes.
Aren't quite the same. Like everybody's like, "Oh, why don't you do that?" Well, we have 300% margin. We have huge margins on our t-shirts and our hats and stuff as to where even though it's big ticket tires, the margins aren't nearly as good.
Yes. Yeah.
Pluses and minuses to both, but
Yeah. That's like we had a furniture client that just sold like homewares and furniture and stuff. And they needed a 10 times return on their ad spend just to make a tiny
in order to make
margin.
it profitable because they don't have the margins there, right?
Exactly. So same deal. All right, got it, man. Dude, you're a smart dude. Cheers for coming on the show and sharing all of this stuff. It's been unreal. Where can people find you if they want to come and know more about you?
Probably Instagram, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's your boy Van on Instagram. I think that's my age demo. Like I'm on there more than I am on Facebook. If you email me, I'm not going to get it. You can write me on Facebook. It's van.oakes, Oakes. But Instagram's probably the easiest. And it's your boy Van on Instagram.
Awesome.
And I respond a lot quicker. I see those a lot quicker. I have notifications on Instagram as to where I don't.
Excellent. All right. Cheers for that, man. Thanks for coming on the show. And until next time.
So much, man. I appreciate it.